Hey everyone, Josiah from the Natty Bros. I want to get on here and address some of the recent drama that's been happening in the arm wrestling community around East versus West. And I think it's really important that throughout this time we do stay united. There are two sides right now, but I don't think there has to be and there shouldn't be. So first off, Engin Terzi did tender his resignation today, and East versus West accepted and announced that publicly. That is very damaging. I don't think it had to come to this point, and I hope they can reverse it. I hope they can work together because I think Engin Terzi, no matter what people think of him, he is a legendary arm wrestler. He started East vs. West, and he's a very important part of the sport. And a lot of athletes really respect him, and especially a lot of the Europeans. They were pretty upset when this happened, and a lot of them, I think, preemptively announced their retirement from East vs. West. And then on the other side is EVW Sports, Robert Baxter, who is a great guy. I've worked with him in the last couple of events. Me and my brother, the Natty Bros, have helped out with these events, and we've talked to Robert personally quite a bit, and he is a great guy. And a lot of people in the arm wrestling community can to attest to his morals and his business savvy, and I think a lot of the stuff he's doing is really good for the sport. Um, so I think the first thing that I want to discuss is money and the athletes not being paid, allegedly, in King of the Table. So a lot of the Europeans who tendered their resignation yesterday had reported that athletes had not been paid. So all East vs. West athletes have been paid. King of the Table athletes was not taken over by EVW Sports until Atlantic City, which was pretty recent. So all of the stuff before East vs. West took over, there was a lot of debt. Their King of the Table is in debt to Engin Terzi. They're in debt to a lot of athletes. So everything past that, all the East vs. West events, all the King of the Table events, since East vs. West took over, all the athletes have been paid. So Robert Baxter, even though it was not a financially good decision, he wanted to help the sport. He bought King of the Table, the rights to King of the Table. And he said he pledged 50% of King of the Table's profits to paying off the debt from Engin and from the other athletes who had not been paid completely. So some people were saying, Robert Baxter, they're not paying athletes. That is incorrect. That is not a factual statement. So right there, that is a fact. So any part of that argument that people are bringing up, it's not true. 50% of all profits of King of the Table are going back to the debts of King of the Table. And I think that's a great thing that Robert Baxter's doing. He saved King of the Table, and he's continuing to pledge to pay off this debt that he did not incur. He did not incur. This was before he bought it and got involved. And now let's address some of the stuff that happened recently with Engin. So a lot of people were reporting that the stream's not working. This is going wrong with the event. And Engin was far away, and he felt that pressure because it is his baby, saying this isn't working. And it's like 2 a.m. turkey time, and he's just sitting there as the pay-per-view's black screened. So I completely understand his frustration, and I watched his videos, and I think there's a lot of good points that he made. The production should be better. This is East vs. West 18, and yeah, people are paying a good amount of money for this, and the event started late. There was issue with the streams. There was a power surge that took out the stream for an hour. So I understand his frustration. It is very frustrating. He can't control that. Dexter did come forward and take responsibility for it. The place in Chicago, the venue did not allow backup generators. So redundancy is really important for events like this, but the venue didn't allow redundancy. And the power surge happened. That is outside of their control. There's nothing they can do about it. But Dexter said, I should have picked a different venue. That's on me. So they are taking responsibility, and I think the next time they will have that redundancy for power and all that stuff. And I think there's, of course, room for improvement, and I think they'll do better. So I get both sides of the story. Engin's like, yes, this should be better. This should not be happening. And Dexter and East vs. West is like, yeah, I agree. We're going to be better in the future. And I think the next event will be better. Um, so they're Dexter and East vs. West are taking the right steps. But I also get Engin feeling helpless. All these people are saying what's going on, and he has no control over that. The part where I think it went a little wrong for Engin is when he said Dexter, the Chinese guy. I don't know. I don't think that's great. I don't think that's very respectful. And I get Engin's frustrations. I really do. Um, but I think the knee jerk reaction to everything that was happening could have been avoided. This shouldn't have been. Engin should not have been communicating with Robert Baxter and Dexter through YouTube videos. They are part of the same thing. We're all the same team. We all want arm wrestling to grow. This should not have been done publicly. But unfortunately, since it has been done publicly, it has brought all of this drama. So East vs. West and Robert Baxter did make a clarifying post today. I think you should go read that. Some of the stuff that I mentioned today has been in there. And I don't think East vs. West is doing anything wrong right now. They're not cheating any athletes. They are paying them. And I think this is just kind of a big misunderstanding and miscommunication. And from what I've seen, there's been some stuff said behind closed doors as well that I'm aware of. I'm not going to share because that is not my platform and it's not my. I should not be sharing some of that stuff. But from all the information I have, this shouldn't have happened. And I think it is fixable except for egos. So that's where it stands. East vs. West is not doing anything wrong currently. They are still wanting to grow the sport. I think what they did with this last event with getting on Barstool Sports, getting on local news coverage was really great for the sport. And they are still getting the best athletes out there. And I think if Engin decides to go the way that it's going and creating his own league with a lot of the Europeans who have decided to go with him, Vitali, Nugo, Oleg Petrenko, Ivan Matushenko. There's quite a few who have decided to go with Engin. But I don't think they are aware of what's happening right now. I hope that everyone is able to sit down and talk about what's actually going on to get a clear understanding. So I know some of those athletes are also under contracts, so I don't know how that's going to work. And I think Engin signed a non-compete clause. So some of the stuff that's being said, I don't think is actually reality for starting our own league, and that I think that would be very harmful for the sport. There's already enough with IFA and WAF. There's already enough just friction and division, and we need to be united. At the end of the day, arm wrestling is a sport that is supposed to bring us all together, and I think that is what is most important. And I really hope they all can sit down. The European athletes, I think, need to get clarification on what's really going on because I think they preemptively withdrew from East vs. West without knowing the full story. If you notice, there weren't um, the other athletes like Levon, Hermes. They didn't jump out and make these decisions preemptively, and North American athletes as well. Um, so I think people just need to be informed of what's really going on, and I think that could resolve a lot. So, anyways, if you guys have any other questions about what's going on, definitely I want to direct you to East vs. West, their Facebook page. That Robert made a good clarifying argument, and I don't think this back and forth between Engin's YouTube and East vs. West Facebook and all that. I don't think it's good. I think they should be speaking behind closed doors, clarify stuff, and then come out in a united front. Even if that means Engin's not going to be part of it anymore, he should not be trying to destroy arm wrestling and destroying the biggest platform we have. Because at the end of the day, we just want to bring arm wrestling to the greater community. So let me know what you guys think. I hope we can get through this. This could be damaging to the sport, but I think we could get through this. So stay strong. Arm wrestling. Let's go.